In this video guide, we'll show you how to convert a black or white iPhone 5 to gold. By doing this, we're going to swap out the back housing, as shown in these slides here. As you can see on the left here, we have a white iPhone 5, on the right a gold. To perform this repair, we're going to use a pentalobe screwdriver, a small Phillips screwdriver, and a flathead screwdriver. We also suggest picking up some extra adhesive, just in case you need to secure down your battery a little bit more. As you can see on the left, here is our fully gutted iPhone 5, which we have just taken all the components out of. This includes all removable pieces on the housing, as well as all the buttons. Now on the right here, we have our brand new gold iPhone 5 case. As you can see, it is also completely gutted, so we'll need to remove everything from our old device and put it into this new housing. So we're going to walk you through each step. The first step being placing these small clips on each side of the housing. This will help secure down the screen assembly. Each clip is held into place using two small Phillips screws. So it's going to work our way around and place each screw into the screw slot for all four clips. We want to make sure that all four clips are facing upward in order for the screen assembly to sit flushly into the housing. It's very easy to mix up what is up and what is down, so just take your time and make sure that you place it in the correct fashion. Otherwise you will run into troubles later, and by that time it's going to be too late and you'll have to remove everything from your device again. And we're just continuing working our way around. That's one side complete, and now onto the other side. First lining it up, making sure it's in the correct upward position, and then securing in each screw. And now for the final clip. And there we go. At this point, we're going to put in the Wi-Fi flex, which is located in the top left corner here. I like putting it in before the power button flex, so that way we have something to kind of lean against. It does get a little bit in the way here, but we're now going to put in the volume button, the mute button, and the power button flex. Placing these incorrectly is the most tedious part of the repair. The main thing right here is to make sure the mute button is flipped in the correct direction. Otherwise you'll run into issues like I did right here, where I got it mixed up and now I can't flick the mute button switch in the correct manner. As you see, it's stuck. So I have to just pull it out and then just reverse the direction of the mute button. It does help because you can kind of set it on that metal bracket right there and then try to slide it in. It's worked flawlessly right there, and as you can see, now it clicks fine. So at this point we're just going to secure up that mute button using that one small Phillips screw. And now for the volume button, we're just going to secure that flex cable down and then secure it in with the two screws. And now we're going to test them out and make sure that they press firmly and correct. And the mute button is double checked. And we're now ready to move on to the power button up here. So at this point we're just going to make sure that this bracket is covering the back of the power button flex. It does come off quite easily because it's just a very small piece of adhesive holding that bracket on. So make sure it's lined up correctly. Now we're ready to put in the power button and align everything and screw it in place. So the power button goes in. Just going to make sure we align it properly. And now flip this down. On the right side of the bracket there will be a small spacer which will need to go around that metal bracket for the power button. So make sure it's installed properly, otherwise you'll have issues pressing the power button. Once it's fully correct, we're just going to secure it in place with a small Phillips screw and test it. If it presses correctly, then you're good to go. If not, you'll just need to mess with it a little bit more until you can get it fully secured. We're now going to replace a metal bracket which covers the upper microphone right here. On the lower end will be the small Phillips screw. We're just going to want to make sure that we keep it aligned so we can fit in the upper screw, which will be a double-sided flathead screw. And there we go. Moving to the left side, we have the vibrate motor. We're first just going to kind of tack it down using the far left screw. This will make sure it doesn't move around so we can get in and place in the screw up here, which is on the top side of the housing. And then we can secure the other screw down fully. And now for the final screw. And the vibrate motor is now installed. Before we're going to install the dock port, we're going to need to transfer over 3 pieces from the old assembly over. This includes 2 speaker meshes and a chrome cover for the dock port. Once everything's been transferred over, we can now install the dock port. First thing you want to make sure of doing is making sure that microphone cover pops into place there. After that, you just need to make sure you can align all your holes for the 7 small Phillips screws. Starting on the left here, we'll just work our way around, making sure each screw is fully installed. All these screw sizes are different, so you want to make sure you keep these very organized when you're disassembling your iPhone 5. And for the final screw in the corner, and there we go. At this point, we are now ready to install our SIM card ejector. The ejector, you just want to make sure that the big flap is faced towards the downside of the device, and then just secure it with a small Phillips screw. The motherboard is now ready to be installed. First thing we want to do is just make sure that we secure the antenna flex to the back of the motherboard here. Going at it from this angle is the easiest way to make sure that you don't strip this little connector. So once you can hover it over a spot and then just press it firmly, it should just pop right in. We want to make sure that we move that power button flex so that way we don't cover it, and then we can just secure it down. And we'll deal with the flash here in a second. We just want to make sure everything kind of fits in and is secured. So start off down the bottom here, we're just going to push the dock port flex right there, connect that one, and then the small antenna cable right down here as well. Again, just hover over its position, and then press firmly down. And we're just going to want to make sure that wire is guided through the little slot in the loudspeaker there. We're now ready to start securing it down. So starting from the bottom here, we're going to use one of the small flathead double-ended screws. And same with the screw located to the left of that. We're then going to place the small Phillips screw located on the right side of the motherboard here. And then the one on the left near the SIM card tray. We're just going to release those 2 cables right there from the motherboard. That way we have clean access. We don't damage those antenna cables. Once they're out of the way, we can just press them securely in place, as well as secure down the power button flex. And there's the power button flex going in place now. And now we'll just use your tweezers to adjust that flash to make sure it sits and aligns properly, as well as the camera. Now this top right double-ended flathead screw is not magnetized, so it becomes very painful to try to align it correctly. Just take your time with this one. It's the most tedious screw, but luckily there's only one. Just try to drop it in its correct spot, and then use your flathead screwdriver to secure it down. Once that is done, we have two more small Phillips screws that need to go up near the top here. So I'll make sure you can align that flex cable up with the slot in the housing. And there we go. That one goes in. And now the same thing for the one right next to it. Now for the battery, like I said, right here you might want to use some extra adhesive depending on how much adhesive was removed from the battery when you originally removed it. However, mine had enough tack to actually tack it down fine. I just connected it right there. Next will be the upper part of the cover and the lower part of that connector cover. From there we're just going to use the small Phillips screws, tack down the center side, just make sure that both of them don't move out of the way. And then we can just continue replacing the other two screws. Alright, I'm just lining that one up and placing that final screw. On the top side here we have one more bracket, which is just secured down by another two small Phillips screws. Line it up and place in the final screw. At this point we're almost done. We just need to connect the screen assembly, which will be the next step here. So I'll make sure all three connections are securely in place. Be one at the top, one on the left side, and one on the right. Once it's fully in place, we're going to use that metal bracket and cover the connectors and just make sure that screw holes will line up. So as I prep my screw, I'm just going to set the screen down, prep my screw, and then install one, and then just readjust it and line it up correctly for the next two. And there's the second screw. And the third screw just holding down that cover. Once that is done, we're just going to align the screen. Press it firmly into the housing, starting with the top, and then working our way around and down. You just want to make sure it sits flush. I'm just going to keep on working my way around it, make sure it fits securely inside. And the final step will just be replacing the two pentalobe screws, which are located on the bottom near the dock port. These screws do not go in unless it's fully aligned, so it's a good sign that your screen is fully in place if they go in smoothly. And there we have it. Your iPhone 5 has now been turned into a gold iPhone 5. The last step here would just be replacing that SIM card tray. But other than that, there is a gold iPhone 5. If you found this video useful, please be sure to like our video. Also be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And for more helpful guides, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.